A new low from Dick Cheney. Let's play hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews out in Los Angeles. Let me start tonight with this. The political right in this country has reached a new low. As I said, it has shown from the beginning that President Obama doesn't deserve the decency accorded other American presidents. His enemies have called him an illegal immigrant, a street corner con artist, a fraud, a Manchurian candidate brought to this country to undermine all we stand for. Well, now Dick Cheney comes right out and calls him a liar. When a right-wing backbencher did that 4 years ago, he was called out for rebuke, even by his own party. Well, now what was condemned as historic bad behavior comes snarling out of Dick Cheney's mouth, and nobody says to shut up. Well, we can argue, as we do here, about the problems implementing the Affordable Care Act, but is this, calling the president a liar, the new language of American politics, or is it a language specially treated for the country's first African-American president? Is this president of a lower caste than those elected to the office before him? Or do those on the right believe he even is the legitimate president of the United States? Or that someone like him could be? Well, this we know. The top Republican in the country refuses to condemn the birtherism of his allies. There's even been lower-level attacks before like this one. But the fact that a recent vice president can talk openly like this tells us that a new ugliness has come to right-wing discourse. Howard Fineman is editorial director for the Huffington Post Media Group. David Corn is the Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones. Both are, of course, valued MSNBC political analysts. So let's list Dick Cheney. Here he is at his current worst.
We look at the mess that has been created out of Obamacare by the president having said, you can keep your policy if you like it, guaranteed, period. That turns out that was a lie. And he repeated it over and over and over again.
Cheney's not alone. Another former GOP heavyweight, if you will, Mitt Romney, called the president a liar during an interview on CBS this morning.
But the real problem that the president has is a broken promise, is dishonesty. And that's, of course, what's really striking at the heart of his term.
Let me go to Howard on this one. It seems to me that one thing we know in the discourse we have here on this program and everywhere else in the country is if you call somebody a liar, using that word, saying they lie, it's sort of the end of the conversation. We go, what would be the purpose of continuing to even listen to someone who you call a liar? And here's the Vice President, Dick Cheney. Now, there used to be, the President's Club by Mike Duffy makes it pretty clear recently, there's a sort of a code of respect among presidents, recent presidents. They don't call each other names like this. Cheney, is he exempt from the rule?
No, he's not exempt from the rule, but he made himself exempt. I don't think you'll hear George W. Bush making a statement like that. But Dick Cheney has a different agenda. First of all, his daughter is running for the Senate in Wyoming as a Tea Party candidate, rather absurdly, since she's basically from the Beltway. And Dick Cheney is trying to help her out by appealing to the Tea Party worst. I think that's what's going on, number one. Number two, I think Republicans more generally, Chris, have always been infuriated by the high personal standing of President Barack Obama, by him as a candidate, by him as a president, by the fact that he has seemed to many of his supporters and to most Americans to be an honest, straightforward, decent guy. And this somehow is especially infuriating to Republicans. It drives them crazy, and they're doing everything they can now, given the opportunity, to try to drag him down to their level, and that's what Dick Cheney's up to.
Let me go to David on the same question, because I do think we can argue, and we're going to do it here, as we've done it about the screw-ups with regarding affordable care. They are there. They are talked about. But getting into motive, that he lied, and using the word lie, not that what the president has been saying is, look, I tried to do something. I thought it was going to work one way. The market didn't react the way I thought it would. I thought I was telling the truth. It didn't work out that way. Right. But to call the guy a liar is to say he's a liar. And it seems to me the politicians generally avoid the word. I'm focused on the word, the decency of when that guy, what was his name? Who was that guy? Joe Wilson. We'll call him in a minute. Joe Wilson. When he said you lie, everybody blanched and said, oh my God, you don't talk like that. Your thoughts?
Well, can we just say that of all the people to call anyone else a liar, Dick Cheney should not be at the top of that list. I mean, if you go back to Iraq, and we've talked about this over the years, he was the one who said that Saddam Hussein was amassing weapons of mass destruction, no doubt, to use against the United States. He kept talking about the lie that Mohammed Atta had met with Iraqi intelligence officials in Prague. He talked about the aluminum tubes. He said there was no doubt there was strong evidence of strong connections between Al al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein. He lied repeatedly, and he really, for all that, should sort of be drummed out of polite society and out of the media. But unfortunately, he's not. Those lies actually were done, I think, maliciously to get the American public to back a war which they might otherwise not support. And then so the fact that he can come out there now and act like a statesman pronouncing judgment on somebody else when if Obama misspoke, made a mistake, lied, or was inaccurate, he was doing it in pursuit of bringing health care to tens of millions of Americans who aren't otherwise covered. That's a lot different than trying to bamboozle a public into supporting a hoax of a war.
Apparently, he never heard Franklin Roosevelt's warning to never use the word rope in a family where there's been a hanging. Anyway, at every turn, Republicans have tried to smear the president as a liar and a cheat. The breadth and scope of the GOP attack on the president's character, as Howard pointed out, is remarkable. And it started pretty much the day he took office. It began, as I said, rather infamously when Congressman Joe Wilson called the president a liar in 2009 when it came to the part of his health care plan. This part. Let's watch Joe Wilson in action.
The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
Well, that opened the floodgates. In 2011, Republicans refused to acknowledge the reality of a default, a debt default, accusing the president of lying about basic math.
President Obama, quit lying. You know darn well that if August 2nd comes and goes, there's plenty of money to pay off our debt and cover all of our Social Security obligations.
Well, that was actually another U.S. congressman. Anyway, there's the GOP obsession with Benghazi, which the Tea Party zealot Ted Cruz jumped on early this summer as proof of what he said was a pattern of lies.
As all of these scandals have unfolded, a pattern we've seen is a consistent willingness to mislead, to be less than honest. Indeed, in recent weeks, we have seen at least 2 flat-out falsehoods from senior members of the administration with regard to Benghazi.
Well, I still think the real precedent being set here is for a former vice president, in fact, the most recent vice president, using the word lie regarding a current president. But then there's some hotshots out there. The original lie there when the president was born. That was the original one. This is a clip from conservative radio talk show host Rick Wiles conducting an interview with Tea Party Congressman Jeff Duncan from South Carolina.
If we know that they're lying about all these other things, why not go back and say, well, maybe the first scandal was a lie, too?
There you go. I'm all with you. So let's go back and revisit some of these things because Americans have questions about not only the IRS scandal, but also about the president's validity.
Howard, there you go again. You can't keep them away from this. It's like chocolate candy or something. The minute you get anywhere near, there's one put in front of them. Mention anything, they go right back to birtherism. There is a crowd, the Farenthold guy that was on here the other day, that wouldn't admit the president was elected legitimately. I mean, obviously, if they think he's basically a fraud, and of course it was Donald Trump that called him a street corner con artist. This lingo, I'm sorry, it's very hard to read people's souls, but would they say it about a white guy? I'm just telling you, it always seems to hit me like they think of him as like an Indian in the old days, a lower caste, an untouchable. Oh, I was 10 feet from the other day and I felt sick, or I couldn't stand looking at him. This caste they treat him as is something lower than it's not like some guy you work with you don't get along with. It's not like somebody, your brother-in-law, some stupid argument. It's like he's from a lower species, the way these
Chris,
people talk about him.
I'm reluctant. I
don't know about motive.
I would normally be reluctant to make the accusation of racism, but here's how I look at it. As I see President Obama's policies, and I've been covering things around here for a long time, the last thing he is a communist, socialist, whatever Rush Limbaugh calls him every day of the week. He tried in the health care law and largely succeeded to steer a middle course between single payer, government-run program, even the public option, and the Republicans' idea of vouchers only in the market. He sought a traditional American compromise that has been validated over 200 years between marketplace and federal regulation. There was nothing radical about that. Minimal regulation of the insurance industry. And yet these people on the right go crazy. They go crazy about it from an ideological point of view. So as a kind of mathematical equation, I say, what's the missing element here? What's the X factor here that makes them go so crazy? Well, there are two things. First of all, we live in divided worlds of politics and reality. They deny his validity because they deny the rest of the world outside of the world they live in, number one. And number two, I think race has to be part of it because they see everything that he does in apocalyptic terms. Why? What other explanation is there?
Let me go to the other theory, David Corn. Are they trying to trash talk him into trash talking back? I sometimes wonder whether they just lower the level of discourse, using words like liar. If they can really gig him, if they can keep doing this, maybe he'll some night just burp out with what he thinks of them, and then they'll say, we showed you he's an angry black guy, you know, or something like that. Your thoughts?
Well,
I don't understand why they're doing it. Cheney, you would think he cared about his own dignity. He obviously doesn't care about his own dignity. It may be about his daughter, some game he's playing, some hatred he has of Obama. I don't know what it is. Who knows?
I'm not sure they're that strategic in trying to get an improper response out of the president. But I do think there is another part to this, and that is they realize that if they can discredit just the whole nature of political discourse and make what's happening in Washington when it comes to policy and politics look like a complete mess, that's bad for the president. That's bad for the Democrats who say, listen, we can use government to nudge the markets in the right direction, to give you to give you health care. They actually benefit from chaos. The Libertarian wing, the Tea Party wing, they want, they don't want to just, decrease the size of government. They want to destroy it in a lot of ways. And they want to discredit. They want to discredit the president. They want to discredit Congress. They want to disrupt. And if they can get the president to swing back and play at their level, well, they win a big win that way. I'm not sure that's the way they look at it, but they do want to disrupt. They're not here to have an honest debate. And we knew that about Dick Cheney from the get-go.
Yeah, but
he is not here for an honest debate.
Chris, I think the question, though, is whether, and I agree with what David said there, but the question is whether they think that way in part because they feel that they have an advantage in making the case given who Barack Obama is. That they can talk in this apocalyptic fashion about Washington and government and so on because of who the president is, both in his person and in his race. And I think the answer to that is, for some of these people, they think that makes their case somehow.
Well, he certainly represents a new America, right? And these are people. I was just going to say, these are people who really want to go back to the 50s for a lot of reasons, some of it motivated by race, some of it motivated by other concerns. And his race and his youth and his positions, it all ties together to make him the other in terms of political cultures and geographic differences. And so it's all part of a larger piece.
Yeah, I think it's a guy in a jalopy trying to get into a bumping car fight with somebody driving a Cadillac. They can't lose. Anyway, thank you, Howard Fineman. Thank you, David Corn.